Hey, what's up everybody, Nexel here. Today we are playing Kingdom Hearts Union Cross and I'm going to try and conduct a test. So the test that I'm going to try is figuring out how much damage having upright defense down gives you. So there's a lot of complicated parts to this and I've been thinking about this for pretty much the past 30 minutes. So let me pull up my sheet first actually let me show you what I'm planning on doing. So we're going to be using a raid boss because a raid boss essentially has zero defense. Essentially zero defense. It's probably the lowest we're going to get with an enemy that has high HP. So the two setups we're going to be using are this setup and this setup. Now, the reason that we're using these two setups is pretty much they're the exact same thing, with the difference being the pet slot medal, which is either Warrior of Light or Hercules B. Hercules B was previously the best single target upright red medal, and I believe now it's Warrior of Light for sure. It's just so strong. It comes with the defense debuff, and it comes with a bunch of other things that just make it super powerful. So let me go ahead and explain the rotation. So the HD Vanitas, the Illustrated Kyrie EX, and the copy key art, the key art beginnings, that's to get us to maximum buffs. So after the first three medals, we should be at maximum buffs, maximum upright strength, maximum PSM strength, maximum general strength, and then reverse that for the enemy except without the upright defense down. That's not going to be applied until later. The purpose behind the HD Aqua EX is because the Warrior of Light gives a 30% guilt bonus, so having the Aqua before that and knowing that those guilt bonuses don't stack, it kind of negates the 30% bonus given by the Warrior of Light when it's copied by HD Antiform Sora, because Hercules B just doesn't have that benefit of the 30% guilt bonus, so that's why HD Aqua is there to even it out between the two. Lastly, let me go ahead. I'm going to pull up an Excel sheet. So this is the Excel sheet. This is what I'm going to be using to calculate damage. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 3 damage tests where we test out the damage from Hercules B 3 times. We're going to average that out. And then we're going to adjust for the damage multiplier, because one of the problems with this test is that the Warrior of Light and the Hercules B don't have the same damage multiplier. So as you can see, as it stands right now, this Warrior of Light has a damage multiplier of 7.2, whereas the Hercules B has a damage multiplier of 6.6. So that's going to throw off our numbers a little bit, so we're going to adjust for that by dividing by the medal's damage multiplier. So as we can see, if we hover over here, so the formula is going to be for the Hercules B, the average amount of damage divided by 6.6, which is the multiplier, and then it's going to be the same deal with the Warrior of Light except divided by 7.2. The last two columns here are really dependent on if the copy medal actually copies the fact that the FFRK Warrior of Light medal is a Final Fantasy medal, and as a Final Fantasy medal, it does receive the extra 80% bonus from the booster, from the FFRK booster. So the Warrior of Light will get 80%, whereas Hercules B will get 40%. So we kind of added this last column here. Let me pull that back up. We added the last column there just in case the copy medal copies the fact that the Warrior of Light is a Final Fantasy medal. So what we did is that we just did... So if the answer is no, if it doesn't copy the Final Fantasy booster, it's pretty much going to be the same as this number here. So as you can see, that's what we selected as the number. If it does copy the fact that it's a Final Fantasy medal, we just kind of mix up our equation so that we divide by 3.8, which is the total amount of guilt added with the extra booster, and then multiply that times 3.4, which would bring it to just the 40% boost that power medals get. Hercules B also gained the 40% extra boost, so let's go ahead and pull up the Hercules B. So as you can see, it has that 40% bonus. So that's pretty much just to cover our butts in terms of the math and make sure that it's as even as possible. Now, what these bottom ones are, so let's go ahead and hover over these guys. So what these bottom ones are, they're pretty much our ratios. So how much damage does the Warrior of Light do in comparison to Hercules B? So that's what these are. So let's go ahead and start testing. We are going to go in with Hercules B first, and it'll make more sense as we go along, I hope. Alright, so let's go ahead and switch over from our Excel view to our Elgato view. Okay, we're going to max buff ourselves here so that we, again, we want to go into the last metal with as much buffing as possible, just so we can make sure that the only difference between the two is going to be that upright defense down. We just wanted to tighten as much as we can to just being that as our limiting factor here. Alright, so let me pull up my number pad here. So right now, this boss is chilling at 145,027,566 as its HP. So we're going to activate our copy metal, which is going to copy the Hercules B. And the resulting damage is going to be 133,689,382. Okay, so the total damage from that was 11,338,184, and that's going to go into our first cell where it says damage test number 1. Now we're going to go ahead and skip through these because it's not important. Alright, and then we're going to do it all over. So we are going to max buff again, and then go in with our copy metal that copies Hercules B. The reason we're doing it multiple times is just in case the metal becomes like a critical hit metal. We don't want that to be too much of a factor, so we're averaging out just 3 data points, which is kind of slim in terms of, you know, the actual math. But I mean, we'll work with what we work with. It'll give us at least a rough estimate of how much damage the upright defense down gives us. Alright, so we have 128,176,839 as the current HP. After activating the Hercules B, we are going to get 116,580,927. So that is going to be our damage test number 2. And lastly, we are going to do one more damage test with Hercules B before we allow ourselves to get completely obliterated by this turtle, and we start using our Warrior of Light. So we're just going to keep running it. Again, the whole purpose of the first 4 metals is to make sure that the only difference between the last 2 metals is going to be the multiplier, and that's pretty much it. The multiplier and the upright defense down. That's going to be the difference between those last 2. Alright, so this one is going to be 111,031,110 after the Hercules B activation. The resulting HP is, let's see, 99,836,078. Alright, so those are our 3 damage tests. They're all pretty consistent with each other right now. Let's go ahead and just get completely destroyed by this turtle. Turtle? Crab? I'm pretty sure it's called the armored crab. I don't know, guys. It's 3 in the morning right now. I'm like exhausted. I was just kind of thinking about how to do this test, and just kind of muddling over a few thoughts here and there about the game itself, about the Warrior of Light, what I should do, etc. So let's go ahead, speed this up by pretty much allowing ourselves to get bodied by this crab. Is it called the Fortress Crab? Is that what it's called? I feel like it's called the Fortress Crab, if memory serves. But again, it's super early in the morning. I am super tired right now. But I want to just get this out of the way, because this is going to feed into the idea of how desperate should people be for Illustrated Riku EX. Or I'm sorry, Illustrated Chain of Memories Riku EX. Alright, so we got bodied by the crab, and that's irrelevant. That's not important. So let's go ahead and switch over to our Warrior of Light setup and go in one more time. Alright, here it is, our Warrior of Light setup. We're using the exact same metals. That way, at least the strength is about even. It's not exactly even. I believe it's off by only like 2,000 points. But we will take it for now, just for purposes of testing. 2,000 points of strength shouldn't make too much of a difference when you think about the whole thing having like almost greater than 100,000 strength. Alright, so we are approaching our Warrior of Light. And then we just use the Aqua, and then we take the HP after that. So the HP of the... Oh, it just hit me that the name is above the HP bar. Fortress Crab. Okay, so 93,982,849. subtract that from whatever's left after this thing completely attacks with this Warrior of Light. So minus 76,542,921. Alright, so that's going to go into our first damage test number. So, if you guys were following along, that math is already huge. There is a big difference between Hercules B and the Warrior of Light right now, especially since we tried to narrow it as much as possible to only that upright defense down being the difference between the two medals. But again, there could be a Final Fantasy booster being applied to the Warrior of Light. So again, when we go back to our math, we're going to make sure that we fill in all the cells. I explained why we're doing it this way, so hopefully that makes sense to everyone here. Alright, so let's go ahead and activate our Warrior of Light. Man, that thing doing like pretty much 2 million a hit is crazy. Okay, so we end up with 53,412,387. Okay, that is our second damage test here. And then we got one more damage test to see how our Warrior of Light compares to the Hercules B. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this going. I'm like really tired right now, guys. It's 3:15 in the morning. I'm just like, ugh. I'm like really sluggish right now. 47,520,811 will activate our Warrior of Light. It's like watching, it's so weird because watching those bars just drop is like astonishing. Like there was, back in the day, it was like you were not nearly pushing as much damage as that. Like you would have to watch each bar progressively go down. Okay, so that's our 3 tests. Let's go ahead and just get bodied by this Fortress Crab. And I will go ahead and pull up the results once we get completely destroyed. Or you know what? I can tap while I pull up the results. Alright, so let's go ahead, pull up our results. Boom! There's the results, guys. Okay, so let's move this towards the center. Actually, no, that's fine, so we can see what's happening on the bottom there. Okay, so those are 3 damage tests. As you can see, there was kind of a discrepancy between the Warrior of Light, between the first 2 damage tests and then the third one. But again, we took an average, so that average comes out to about that number there. So if we're just using the averages, the Warrior of Light does pretty much like 1.5 times the amount of damage that Hercules B is doing. Remember that the Warrior of Light does give -2 upright defense to the enemy. So just the raw numbers, it's going to be times 1.5 for the Warrior of Light. If we adjust for the damage multiplier and divide by the multipliers of both Hercules B and the Warrior of Light, the ratio becomes 1.38. So our ratio of how much more damage having -2 upright defense gives is going to be times 1.38 or times 1.4, whatever you want to use to kind of help you remember. And then if the copy medal does not copy the Final Fantasy booster, it is going to be that 1.38 ratio. If it does copy the Final Fantasy booster, if it is going to be giving that extra 40% due to the Final Fantasy Record Keeper boosters, giving an extra 40% to Final Fantasy medals, then the ratio drops down to 1.24 times the amount of damage, comparing the Warrior of Light to Hercules B. So obviously, and you know, it doesn't take a math scientist to figure this stuff out, the Warrior of Light just does more damage. And not only that, but if you're using the Warrior of Light and copying it twice with a forward and a backwards copy medal, you're also gaining the additional benefit of having that the upright defense down being copied. So by the last medal, you are using a -6 upright defense down. That is crazy, and that stacks up really, really fast, especially when you think of these damage like numbers being in the millions. So how desperate should you be for Illustrated Riku EX, that's what the point of this test was, to figure out how much more damage we are cranking out using upright defense down versus not using it at all. And as you can see, the numbers are pretty high. When you think of that times 1.5, when you're multiplying a million times 1.5, that is 500,000 extra points of damage. Correct my math if I'm wrong. Again, now it is 3:18 and I am like super tired. I could feel like the bags forming around my eyes. But yeah, when you think about that, that gets really heavy, especially since you can stack that upright defense down by copying that medal. So if you've got, like, let's say, for example, a Kingdom Hearts 2 nominee with extra attack on it, you're going to go something like copy medal, copying Kyrie EX twice, and then Kyrie EX going off, and then you are double copying the Illustrated Riku EX and the Illustrated Riku himself, so that's +6 upright strength and then -6 upright defense. So that's just really good, and that can stack a lot. That can make a lot of extra damage when you stack those upright defense downs. But with that being said, that was the point of this test, is to compare upright defense down. I don't know if it works linearly or logarithmic. Jeez, I am so tired right now. Logarithmically, where either, you know, it goes up proportionately. Actually, this kind of looks weird because, like, the thing is mirrored. If the damage goes up proportionately with the upright defense down, or if it kind of, like, you know, it either can go really steep for the first upright defense down and then just kind of curve off, or if it's like once you get to 7 it just spikes up. So if there's any like research groups out there, any Kingdom Hearts Union Cross damage research groups, let me know in the comments below what your findings have given. This is just my test right now and some numbers to just prove what I went through, as to why I think, you know, certain numbers come out to whatnot. I am not a math grad student. That is not my specialty. So again, I made these like formulas at like 2 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning realistically. So if something's not sound, let me know. I am totally down to do the test again, because like inherently I want to find answers and I want to see what the numbers are so we can get more accurate readings on what's useful, what's not useful, what's worth investing into, and what's not worth investing into. But with that being said, this is my test for now. I don't like doing this because it's kind of lame, but share this video with other groups and let me know if there's any criticisms with my test, because I want this test to be as refined as possible. I want the numbers to be accurate. So I don't like saying this because I don't like, you know, doing that kind of promotion. Share this video with your Facebook groups or with your Discord chats and let me know what they think, because I am willing to do the test. I just need to hear what other people think. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to throw them in the comments below and I will try my best to answer. But as always, everyone, I'm off to bed, first of all. Until the next video, take it easy.